Hello, this is Azrael, and I'm assuming that you've watched the first video on what is not Wicca, so now we're going to start the lessons on what is Wicca. Traditionally, you had to find yourself a Wiccan to teach you, or a coven that was willing to accept you. Now, because they're very secretive in order to protect their privacy and their safety, finding them was pretty hard. It wasn't until Gerald Gardner published the first books on uh, basically how to and describing on what Wicca really was, that most people were just out of luck. So now you have the solitary practitioner, which usually learns from books, videos, and whatnot. Now, Wiccans that celebrate their religion in groups are usually called covens. Some groups call themselves groves or circles. I've even came across a couple of groups of Wiccans that call themselves a church. Um, Now there are several different variations of Wicca, and I'm going to cover just a small handful of them. First up is Gardenian Wicca, and these people adhere closely to Gerald Gardner, the founder of modern Wicca. They have an initiation system. There's 3 degrees in their system. The symbols of their degrees are here, and then you have the Alexandrian Wiccans, who it was founded by Alexanders, and they're closely related with their beliefs to the Gardeners, but he puts a little bit more emphasis on ceremonial magic. There's Dianic witchcraft and Wicca, and I've actually met a couple of ladies that belong to a Dianic coven, and they go so far as to even not all of the people that follow this path. I'm just talking about a couple of people that I've come across that I've investigated and found out that this is a running theme. They actually, some of these groups actually deny the God aspect, and they just solely focus on the goddess, and they don't even let men into their coven. And my job is not in these videos is not to belittle anybody's belief system or impose my own on. So I'm not going to go too much into what I believe on that. Um, and then we have one of my favorites, which is I like Ray Buckland, and I like Scott Cunningham. I like their version of the solitary and Ray Buckland's version, which is his version of Wicca is called Seax Wiccans, and this group actually holds a lot of pagan rituals out in the open and to the public. Um, and that this version of Wicca and Wiccan covens actually have rituals set up for self initiation for the solitary practitioner. Now I can go on. There's quite literally hundreds of different versions of Wicca, but the main concepts of Wicca is that they believe in something called the Wiccan Reed, and it's I'm going to have my wife, because she has a better speaking voice than I do, and she don't stutter as much as I do, uh, and sorry guys, she's already taken. She has a beautiful voice, and she's going to read the Wiccan Reed here. Now, before she reads this, keep in mind that Wicca has no prophets. Wicca has no divine scriptures. However, if you was to say that, the Wiccan Reed is as good as it gets. Um, it if you listen to it, even as a solitary practitioner, it even tells you what Wicca believes. From the eight holidays, the 4 high holidays and the 4 low holidays, and um, it's just very well written, and it's beautiful. And again, here she goes.
Bide within the law you must, In perfect love and perfect trust, live you must and let to live, fairly take and fairly give. For tread the circle thrice about, to keep unwelcome spirits out, to bind the spell well every time, let the spell be said in rhyme. Light the eye and soft of touch, speak you little, listen much. Honor the old ones in deed and name, let love and light be our guides again. Josh will go by the waxing moon, chanting out the joyful tune. Widdershins go when the moon doth wane, and the werewolf howls by the dread wolfsbane. When the lady's moon is new, kiss the hand to her times two. When the moon rides at her peak, then your heart's desire seek. Heed the north wind's mighty gale, lock the door and trim the sail. When the wind blows from the east, expect the new and set the feast. When the wind comes from the south, love will kiss you on the mouth. When the wind whispers from the west, all hearts will find peace and rest. 9 woods in the cauldron go, burn them fast and burn them slow. Birch in the fire goes to represent what the lady knows. Oak in the forest towers with might, in the fire it brings the gods in sight. Rowan is a tree of power, causing life and magic to flower. Willows at the waterside stand, ready to help us to the slumber land. Hawthorn is burned to purify and to draw a fairy to your eye. Hazel, the tree of wisdom and learning, adds its strength to the bright fire burning. White are the flowers of apple tree that brings us fruits of fertility. Grapes grow upon the vine, giving us both joy and wine. Fir does mark the evergreen, to represent immortality seen. Elder is the lady's tree, burn it not, or cursed you'll be. 4 times the major Sabbaths mark, in the light and in the dark. As the old year starts to wane, the new begins, it's now Samhain. When the time for Imbolc shows, watch for flowers through the snows. When the wheel begins to turn, soon the Beltane fires will burn. As the wheel turns to Lammas night, power is brought to magic rite. 4 times the minor Sabbaths fall, use the sun to mark them all. When the wheel has turned to Yule, light the log, the horned one rules. In the spring, when night equals day, time for Ostara to come our way. When the sun has reached its height, time for oak and holly to fight. Harvesting comes to one and all, when the autumn equinox does fall. Heed the flower, bush and tree, by the lady blessed you'll be. Where the rippling waters go, cast a stone, the truth you'll know. When you have and hold a need, hearken not to others' greed. With a fool no season spend, or be counted as his friend. Merry meet and merry part, bright the cheeks and warm the heart. Mind the threefold laws you should, 3 times bad and 3 times good. When misfortune is enow, wear the star upon your brow. Be true in love, this you must do, unless your love is false to you. These 8 words the reed fulfill, and ye harm none, do what ye will.
Now, wasn't that some good poetry? So I suggest you guys type into your favorite search engine the Wiccan Read full version, which is what we read here. Copy and paste it, keep it. Or you could just rewind this video over and over to listen to my wife tell you. But when you read the Wiccan Read, it pretty much sums up um, in a basic form what Wicca really is. And including it even touches bases on some of the holidays and so forth. But the most important, when people quote it, they usually quote, "And ye harm none, do as you will." If you don't hurt somebody, then you could do it, and yourself included. And my my Christian friends out there who might be listening to this, yuck it up. You don't have 10 commandments anymore. You should have 11, and this one should be the first. And ye harm none, do as you will. If atheists out there, they even agree to this. They don't even believe in a God, but they believe in this. Don't harm somebody else. Don't do something to somebody that you don't want done to you. So, in conclusion, this is going to stop this one video. We're going to talk about in other videos more in depth on how to choose your gods, which pantheons work for you, why you can choose a pantheon and another Wiccan coven or Wiccan person can choose a different god, and how this is all possible. And then we'll move on down to herbs and so forth, and magic and so forth, and once we get the basic tenets of Wicca down. And until next time, take care, or blessed be.